Oh hey, I was just playing with Pokemon cards, aka engaging in an act of Satanism. That's right, your boy on the channel is now engaged in an active relationship with Satan, because I am a fan of Pokemon. All jokes aside, of course I'm not an actual Satanist. I am a man of the Lord and nothing but. However, I am a Pokemaniac, as they would say. However, according to a man much, much older than me in a time before me, apparently that's a problem. Today I just want to go back and take a look at a very classic video from, I assume, probably the late 90s to early 2000s of what I assume to be a preacher at a small church, basically giving a presentation about why Pokemon and Magic the Gathering is satanic and why it's bad for kids. And this video has always been so entertaining to watch, and today we're just gonna go over it. We're just gonna remember in the big 25 just how truly awful this video is, and just how incredibly silly the Satanic Panic was as a whole. Also, don't mind this giant patch of herpes on my lip. That's just the price you gotta pay when you've got a scat fetish.
Now, a lot of things come over from the Orient.
Right off the bat, you can tell this is I would guess late 90s, because we do not say the Orient anymore. Really, it's just a product of its time, and we love it for that.
I can't think of anything that come over from the Orient that actually had a big impact or a phenomenon type craze other than Godzilla.
I love how he immediately just proves himself wrong, because Godzilla is, like, even just to this day, just one of the biggest things from the Orient that exists. I think I can say with a pretty high degree of certainty that there were plenty of things before Pokemon from Japan that were very popular in the US. It's just a completely irrelevant point, really. It's just kind of silly.
There is something new that's come over to the United States and has actually captured the minds and the imagination of every single child.
Uh-oh, oh god. Captured the minds and hearts and imaginations of childs around the world in this great globe nation of Islam? How could this be possible? How nothing in the history of anything has ever sparked children's imaginations ever before? This is the first time thing. Nothing has ever been seen like this in the history of things ever. Children have never liked anything before.
And it's called Pokemon. And it stands for Pocket Monster. And it even made the cover of Time magazine.
I mean, that's a pretty hard cover of Time magazine.
Now, the first thing I want you to notice is, do you notice any symbol up there that you've seen before? The spiral. And it stands for what?
Hypnosis.
Male fertility.
What?
This thing is actually called Poliwhirl, but they actually had another name for it before they renamed it. When this creature first came out, it was called Hypno. And they changed it to Poliwhirl to make it a little more innocent. But you see, what it actually does is it's supposed to be able to mesmerize and hypnotize its enemies.
No, that's completely untrue. That's complete bullshit. There is a Pokemon named Hypno, but it's not Poliwhirl, and it's actually not even related to it in any way. Poliwhirl is its own separate thing. It was never called Hypno. What a silly goose. It's just you made that up. You pulled that out of your ass, goober. Which that will be a very common thing in this, just throughout this whole video, is that he will completely make shit up just on the spot. And that's not unique to this guy. That's every satanic panicker. But it's very, very silly in this one. Just keep an eye out for him just flat out blatantly lying.
That starts spinning around, and it's just like one of those hypnotic wheels that they use to hypnotize.
No, it does not. There is not one time where that spiral moves. It's supposed to be a tadpole, which, if I'm not mistaken, have like little spirals on their bellies.
And this is an interesting character over here. This character over here is called Mewtwo. And Mewtwo looks like an alien. If you look at him real carefully, he looks like an alien. But you know, the first thing that I noticed about that thing is, when I looked at it, and I looked at those eyes, I said, you know what? That kind of looks like the things that we used to pray to inside that circle.
Who the fuck is we? Is he been raised in a Pokemon cult his entire life or something? Has he been praying to Mewtwo or some shit? Like, why? What kind of connection is he drawing here?
Now you notice that he has a particular salute that he's given. And he's in this pose. Every time that you see Mewtwo, he's in this pose. And those three fingers are always sticking out like that.
I just want to completely dispel any shit, and I'm going to probably repeat myself a couple times in this video, because it is just such a fundamental thing. There's a fork in the road here, that this guy took the wrong road. You see, there's the bullshit that he's pulling out of his ass, where Mewtwo is standing in a specific pose with the satanic salute, or there's the other road, which is the correct road, and that it's just one dynamic posing and two just character design choices. And we'll get into another thing here that just involves intelligent design that just completely goes over his head, that he doesn't even notice, and just calls it out for some complete bullshit that it isn't. But we'll get to it when we get there. But that's what's going on here. He just completely takes the wrong road of thought and it makes it out to be something that it isn't, to just the most insane degree possible.
Now, he doesn't have 5 fingers like we do. He has 3. But if they were the 3, on us, they'd be this. And that doesn't mean hook 'em horns, doesn't mean I love you, doesn't mean one more. It means hail Satan.
Again, because he's a psychic type Pokemon. Every psychic ability you can imagine is using your hands to do some shit. So, and he's got 3 fingers. So, I don't know.
It's the satanic salute that all Satanists identify themselves with.
I just love the idea of being like a Satanist out in public, and you just do that. It's like you narwhal bacon at midnight each other, and you can, like, you know, have this telepathic link between Satanists.
Cards, video games, toys, a new movie, is it bad for them? What we need to look at is whether or not that particular statement holds true. Is it bad for them?
No, I'll just if you want it, the short answer now, the answer is no. Let kids enjoy things, especially when they're fucking awesome like Pokemon.
Here's one of the characters. Cute little one. Everybody go. Oh, come on. I know you wanted to do that, see? That's why I did that.
Thank you, you're a very gracious man. I didn't catch his name, actually. I'm gonna call him Albert. Thank you, Albert, you're a very gracious man.
But the one thing I've noticed about him right off, this is Pikachu. One thing I noticed about him right off was his tail. It's a lightning bolt.
Yes, sir. It is a lightning bolt. There's no way that you could draw any other conclusion of what this could be. It is a lightning bolt, right?
And it's a satanic Z.
What the fuck is that? You really could just say anything back in the day and people would believe you. There's no such thing as a satanic Z. That's not a fucking thing. I could just say, this is a satanic water bottle, and now you have to believe me. Water is satanic, and if you drink from this water bottle, you are engaging in an act of Satanism. My source? I made it the fuck up.
Now, just by looking at him alone is not enough to really be able to say, okay, yeah, that's bad, or that's satanic. What we first need to do is we need to look at the actual production of these things. And the first thing we need to do is we need to look at who actually produced the trading card game that has captured the minds and the imaginations of our children. The Pokemon trading card game is a new collectible card game that is made and distributed by Wizards of the Coast. What is a wizard? Male practitioner of black magic.
Oh my god, the company's name is Wizards of the Coast, which means that they're all practitioners of all male practitioners of black magic. Every single one of them working at that company are all wizards. Fuck, that's heavy. That is a big discovery. Did anyone ever, like, document that? Is that something that was, like, known by most people? That, like, there are actual wizards out there, like, just under our noses in society, crafting wonderful cards for us?
The same company that made the best-selling game, Magic: The Gathering.
Okay, so, like, a big chunk of this video is just him going into Magic: The Gathering. And I'm not too familiar in that field, but he goes into just some of the more occultish themes and the themes of magic and just that type of shit, and how it's bad for kids, and how like necromancers are terrible. And I just, you know, I want to just faintly skip over that part because I feel like this shit's gonna be incredibly long. I don't want to have like a full movie length video here. He takes like 10-15 minutes of this shit and just talks about Magic the Gathering and how evil it is and how bad it is for kids. It's the usual, oh, it has magic in it, so it's satanic and it's evil and it causes them to kill their parents and shit. It's just complete bullshit. And then he links it back to Pokemon, and the only thing that brings them together is the fact that they're both made by Wizards of the Coast. And I think that's just pretty fucking stupid. Any rational human being would, because the cards are made by Wizards of the Coast, not the Pokemon, not anything. They're just the cards are being manufactured by them. There's nothing else there. They have no, or I assume they had like basically no creative control over actual Pokemon, because that would be ridiculous. They have basically nothing to do with this shit. I don't know if they handled game balance or stuff like that, or I don't know if that was creatures or any other fucking group in the Pokemon sphere. I don't know who handled that. Yeah, that whole thing is just some complete dog shit gobbledygook.
So let's go back to Pokemon, because now we've already established that the same company that puts out that game and puts out Dungeons and Dragons puts out cute little Pokemon. Isn't that interesting?
Not even a little bit. They print cards, and Pokemon expanded into cards, so they printed the cards. That's the only connection that they've got, pal.
Up here is the Pokemon ball.
The Pokeball, god damn it, get it right.
That's the Pokemon ball, and you actually catch the monster inside of that thing and harness the power in there.
I actually had that exact little Pokeball toy as a kid. I don't know where it is, but it's probably somewhere around here, and I'll find it eventually. But I had that exact little thing. 90s Pokemon toys were the absolute shit, and I want them again.
And then you can call on that power to regenerate itself outside of that ball, and praise God, it turns into a bigger and better monster.
That's such a roundabout and like wordy way to just say you catch the Pokemon inside the ball and you release them out of the ball. Just making it sound more mysterious and weird than it actually is, of course. Classic satanic panic bullshit.
Now, the object of this game is gotta catch 'em all. And they tell you that if you catch 'em all, you become a Pokemon master.
Yeah, it's a cool fucking word. Who wouldn't want to be the master of something? Being the Pokemon master sounds cool as shit. Why wouldn't you want to be that? There's nothing wrong with being the master of something. I mean, no one truly is. But if you catch every Pokemon and buy every game and buy every pack, then maybe, just maybe, you could be the Pokemon master.
Listen, parents, that word master will appeal to any child. And you know what? If you're the master of something, you don't need mom, you don't need dad, you don't need grandparents, you don't need aunts and uncles, you don't need school, and you probably don't even need a church.
What a load of donkey balls. Again, this is just a 90s church bullshit. If your kid likes something that you do not understand, that means they hate you and they want to secretly kill you. It's just a fear of what they don't know, and it'll never ever stop. It'll always be like this.
Because you're a master. You can become a god. That's the premise of what this has been teaching. You become the Pokemon master. That's the whole premise and the whole goal of this game.
It's not a selling point. It never has been a selling point, and it probably never will be a selling point of Pokemon. If anything, the selling point is to catch gods and befriend them and fight with them. Arguably, probably isn't much better in their eyes, but you're not becoming a god. You're just becoming just a casual master of Pokemon. And I mean, really, what does master even mean? And why is that a bad thing to be a master? At least in my eyes, a master is someone who's incredibly proficient in their craft and knows a lot of things.
Here's the next character. This is Misty. And she's described as Ash's companion. And listen what it says about her. She's headstrong and stubborn, constantly arguing with Ash. Typical woman. No, just kidding.
Yes, dude, yes.
And here's Brock over here in the corner. And Brock is by far the most hormonal, because his fascination with the opposite sex many times gets him or the group in trouble.
Dude, Brock just wants to lay some pipe, man. Leave him alone. He wants to settle down with a woman, pump his seed into her, and cook her a good meal. What's wrong with that?
And then there are two characters, and one's called Jesse, and the other one's called James. And listen what it says about them. It says, prepare for trouble, make it double. Jesse and James are an evil gang looking to steal rare Pokemon. Jesse and James are stuck up, fashion conscious, and you know what? In the program, they're also prone to cross-dressing.
Prone is a bit much. I think they do it maybe once every other episode. But who gives a shit, man? They're disguises. They're goofy disguises that clearly should not work, but they're cartoon characters. Do you have a problem with Bugs Bunny cross-dressing to give Elmer Fudd a raging erection so big that he falls over? That's just classic cartoon antics.
Oh, what kind of role model would that be?
They're the bad guys. They're not supposed to be the role model. How do you not fundamentally understand that after reading their character bio? They're the bad guys that want to steal rare Pokemon. They're not supposed to be the people you look up to. Even though they are objectively the best characters in the show, they're not supposed to be role models.
Okay, so let's examine what we got. Let's see. Headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks. But, I mean, even if I wasn't a Christian parent, I wouldn't want my kids to grow up with those kind of traits.
Sure, yeah, when you cherry pick everyone's only negative traits, sure, it might seem like it's a pretty depraved show if you're a 50-year-old woman who's never felt the touch of a man. But let's not forget how every single episode of the anime essentially is Ash helping someone with something or helping a Pokemon, and Brock and Misty tagging along doing the same thing. Let's not mention any of the good things that these characters have done, because that's what's going to scare parents into not liking Pokemon.
Actually, this is a poster from the movie. And look here, this is Mew over here, M-E-U. He's kind of cute. And this is Mewtwo over here, complete with his satanic salute.
It's a dynamic pose, Albert. Again, it's that very slippery fork in the road of, is it satanic or is it just character design? And once again, it is just character design. It is a fucking movie poster. Of course they're gonna put Mewtwo, the main villain of the movie, in a dynamic pose. The psychic ability-having character will be in a dynamic pose with his hand out because he's using psychic abilities. It's not goddamn rocket appliances.
And if you notice, that pose is always given with the left hand.
He's doing that with his right hand, but go on.
A funny thing happened. Well, actually it wasn't funny, but an interesting thing happened when this movie, Pokemon, was actually first released in Japan. I want you to see it. Japanese cartoon triggers seizures in hundreds of children.
How do you do the research to find a news article in the 90s, but then not fucking read it? Now, the whole Japanese Pokemon seizure debacle was from an episode of the anime called Amazing Rainbow Warrior Porygon or some shit, where there were just a lot of flashing lights. Big blunder, and that episode was pulled from airing, and I think to this day has not been seen since. This was not induced by the power of Satan. This was just incompetence from people animating the show. But honestly, just the most offensive thing to me is that he says so confidently that this is a result of the movie, but it's so, if you know what this is, just the second you see this, just your eyes should be rolling into the back of your head. You should be seeing your brain at that point. It is so incredibly silly that he brings this shit up, as if it has any relevance to what he's saying at all.
December 17th, 1997. This is when the movie was first actually released over in Japan. And you know what they found? Not one of those children had a history of epilepsy.
Possibly because they're children, and most people Especially, I assume, in the 90s, were not just sending their kids off to be tested for epilepsy. It's very possible that that was a lot of kids' first exposure to their epilepsy. And to attribute that to, like, Satan or some shit is so goddamn goofy.
Remember I said that they get their energy through energy balls.
So when he first said that Pokemon get their energy from energy balls, that confused the shit out of me, because no the fuck they don't. But then I realized that he's kind of right. Energy cards are absolutely little energy balls, and I never really put that together before. But I'm still gonna say, fuck you, no they do not get their power from energy balls. That type of energy does not exist in the Pokemon world. That's purely a TCG balancing item. So when he talks about the energy balls and shit like that, he's talking about like card energies, and you know, it's just very silly. It's just goddamn goofy. And he's got a real problem. He's got some qualms with these energy cards, but we'll tackle that when he gets there.
But something very unusual is also in this book, and that is that they actually show the energy balls that is used to make these monsters bigger and better. I want you to see them. What do you see?
Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt. Look here. All-seeing eye.
I'd say psychic energy. What else would you put there for psychic power? Possibly a brain? That's a bit gross, a bit grotesque for a children's property, wouldn't you say? I think an eye is most appropriate there.
Up here is the clenched fist, symbol for rebellion, anarchy.
Or also for a goddamn knuckle sandwich, which I'm about to give you because that's a fighting energy.
Right down here is a powerful witchcraft symbol where my finger is. Powerful witchcraft symbol, and it's a symbol for fire.
It is not a powerful witchcraft symbol. That is fire. God damn, are people not allowed to draw fire?
Down here is another powerful witchcraft symbol. Actually a New Age symbol. They call a New Age symbol for Earth.
It's a goddamn leaf. It's a leaf. It's nothing else but a leaf. My dude, Gabriel, whatever the hell, Antonio, I forgot what your name is. Albert Fish. I think that's his name, Albert Fish, the man convicted of knifing his wife or whatever. No, that's not, he didn't do that. That was Richard Clark. Anyways, it's a leaf, not a New Age satanic symbol. For the love of God. Again, can you just not draw a leaf in the exact way that he wants? It becomes a satanic leaf?
And down at the bottom here, this blue ball down in here is the symbol for energy of water. And water transforms into wind. Earth, wind, and fire, the three basic elements of all witchcraft.
He really just could not find something bad to say about the water energy. I think he kind of realized that he is just spitting complete bullshit. So he spat the most bullshit that he spat all day.
And I'm going to ask you, parents, grandparents, concerned aunt and uncles, friends, do you think they put that in there by coincidence?
I'm just gonna say it right now. Grandparents, parents, concerned aunt and uncles, whatever the fourth thing he said was, those are the last people you will ever want to ask for some kind of intelligent decision. I'm sorry, grandparents, parents, concerned aunt and uncles, and fourth things of the world, but when it comes to a decision like this, maybe it's best to just sit it out, because you're not gonna say something smart.
Do you think they just built this game, put these on there, and said, hey, let's just put those symbols on there, they look cool. Kids won't know what they are, but they'll like them because they look cool.
Yes, I do think they did that. I do think they just drew up cool symbols and were like, yeah, we'll use those, they look pretty neat. It's fire, water, and a fucking leaf.
Or did they put them on there because they know what the meaning of each one of those symbols is? And they want to desensitize our children to seeing those symbols so much that when they see them in other things, hey, no big deal.
Oh shit, a leaf. I've seen that before, no worry.
There's a war going on right now for the children because Satan wants them really bad. Who better to serve the Antichrist than the youth?
Okay, I just really can't help but notice, and I hope someone can kind of see my vision a little bit. But that projector, or whatever the hell it is, it looks just a little bit like, if you squint your eyes and really use your imagination, it looks a little bit like Onyx. I wonder if anyone else has kind of picked up on that, because it's just kind of just an extra layer of irony.
Have you ever tried to get talking to a child when he's into this game? It's impossible. They spend more time on this Pokemon. And you know what? It's amazing that your child can tell you every Pokemon in existence, even tell you where they get their power, what they do, and how they do it, but they can't tell you what you told them 5 minutes ago.
As that child, I can tell you it's because I was interested in Pokemon and not interested in the other shit around me. I could tell you everything about Pokemon because I liked learning about Pokemon. Same shit with every other kid that likes Pokemon. It's not a hard concept to grasp, so I'm sure when this guy was a kid, maybe if he ever was one, I guarantee he was glued to something at some point. Every child is. So why is it so insane that Pokemon is one of those things?
They also can't tell you probably what they learned in school that day.
Because school is not interesting. Pokemon are. From the mind of a kid, of course, and I can tell you this because it's probably my thought process as well. Why would I learn about normal school shit, that boring stuff that I don't care about, when I can learn about Pokemon? When there's so many cool little guys to learn about. There's so many. And they're so cool, and they're so interesting, and they're cute, and they're awesome, and there's so many different things. They're so unique. How could I, or any other kid, not be completely absorbed into that world? That's the whole point. So it's not even that much of a stretch that kids just do not learn shit in school. And that's not even a Pokemon problem, really. That's just a fundamental education problem, but we're not going to tackle that.
And you know, going back to those energy balls, I believe that those energy balls represent that the Pokemon get their power by supernatural occult ability. You saw the symbols.
No, I'm just gonna completely disprove that now. That does not happen. That is bullshit. Get that out of your head canon, because that's not in the lore, baby. That ain't in the Bible.
And what made that even more evident was two cards. One was called Abra, and the other card is called Kadabra. Abra, Kadabra. And that's an actual phrase, it's an actual name.
Are you fucking kidding me? Abra and Kadabra. It's not evidence of Satan worship or witchcraft or anything like that. It's a fucking pun.
The Kadabra character has a pentagram on his forehead.
That's just a normal star. It's not even like upside down. You can't even make the claim that it's like an evil satanic star that is like upside down. It's just a normal ass star. Out of anything you could have mentioned about Kadabra, you didn't mention his very obvious penis.
And he has SSS across his chest.
Yes, the satanic SSS. To me, that just looks more like grill marks or some shit. I really don't know what that actually is. But I can tell you very positively that it's not the satanic SSS.
And in my particular sect of Satanism, we didn't have it, but I ran into other groups that did. They had tattoos on the inside of their wrist, over their breasts, or on the inside of their thigh, and it was that same SSS. You know what it stands for? Satan's Solemn Servant.
They could have just been missing an S, and you might have just been running into Nazis or something. I don't know, but either that or he's making people up. I do not believe a single thing he's saying right now. That's just complete bullshit.
They want our children to be able to look at that and actually at one day now, while they're identifying with their favorite Pokemon, reach up and go, "Hail Pokemon!" And what are they actually hailing? Satan.
Now, I don't speak for the whole Pokemon community, but throughout my entire life as a Pokemon fan, I can't say I've ever even once considered even going, "Hail Pokemon!" But I'm not the majority, I'm just one guy, but I will say here that I don't think many other people have had those urges to do those things, but I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments if I am wrong.
Look at this. Quebec teen stabbed at school over Pokemon cards. This was in Montreal. And this was a 12-year-old student that tried to help his younger brother after his younger brother had his Pokemon card deck stolen from him. And he went over to these young men to get the cards back, and one of the boys pulled out a 4-inch knife and stabbed him with it.
This isn't an issue with Pokemon. Pokemon didn't cause this kid to do that. That that is very obviously underlying mental health issues that probably haven't been treated to this day. That's not Pokemon's fault. It may have been the catalyst for this whole thing, but it's not Pokemon's fault.
This game is a war designed to attack our children's minds, their very character. And if it gets into our homes, it will wreck family life in one way, shape, or form.
As someone who has grown up with Pokemon my entire life, who is relatively okay and has a wonderful relationship with my family, I can say positively that he is completely full of shit.
And there are report after report of children going into their parents' pocketbook and stealing money to go out and buy these cards. What is the purpose?
To buy Pokemon cards, I assume. Yeah, you shouldn't steal from your parents, but it's not the first time in history that children steal money from their parents to buy things that they want. I'm pretty sure that's been happening since money and goods were invented. It's just not even like a fair thing to bring up, because it's just not relevant in the slightest. Kids are little shits and they steal money sometimes.
I don't see it as being something that is beneficial to our children. I don't see it as being something that's going to help our family grow. And I sure don't see it as something that's going to help get the child established in the ways of the Lord. This is totally the opposite. Remember that the whole goal in all of these role-playing games, and especially in Pokemon, is to become the master.
What an incredible speech. I mean, it's one for the history books. I mean, he's one of our century's greatest minds. But yeah, so of course you wouldn't see any of this shit as beneficial or good for the family or any of that shit if you look at it the way that you've been looking at it. That much is very obvious, that you don't see it the way that it is. You see it in this fantasy land where Pokemon is controlled by the devil. And that is just fundamentally not true. But yeah, that was just a YouTube classic, a video that I've wanted to make something on and talk about for a while, and I've finally gotten around to it, and yeah. I think that's everything I had to say, so like, subscribe, comment, all that cool shit, and yeah, I'll see you later. That's actually pretty cool. It's a cool card. It's a fucking cool card. I did not mean to open such a cool card.